on this episode of the Dive Podcast.
Do you know it was in my final year in university, I boldly, disobediently brought a girl home for the first time in my life.
But I also think that you can't lie to your parents because your parents mean well for you.
And I haven't done math in how many years? Now I'm sitting down here doing algebra, doing calculus. And what if there's always this thing fear in my mind. If we do this now and they go to school and the answer is all right.
This is how much your tuition cost. This is how much the feeding and the home cost. This is how many hours your mom or your dad, they have to work to bring this money in. Having that family conversation helps a lot.
Hi everyone, welcome to season 3 of the Dive Podcast. And if you love the topics that we did in season 2, you're going to love these topics that we have in store for you for season 3. So today I have lovely guests in my presence. We are going to be talking about the biggest job in the world. This job is so big that it's God's first job to us, and that is being a parent. So we are going to talk about the realities behind parenting, because in our generation and the generations coming up after us, we do not tend to really see the role that our parents play and what it takes to be a parent. And being a parent is so great that it required God to sacrifice his only son for us. And I feel like sacrifice is a big part of parenting. So today we want to dive into the role of parenting and what it actually entails so that we can give our parents grace when things are not looking as we expect it to be, or when they don't have all the answers, or when they don't have everything all figured out. We want to kind of like give them grace. So we want to have insight into what it means to actually be a parent. So I'll start with my first question, which is very easy. It starts with like a very easy question. We'll gradually go into the difficult ones. So my first question is, how would you describe the moment you first became a parent? People say there's an instant connection. People say it's something that you gradually step into. How would you describe the first moments that you first became a parent? Anyone can start.
So I would say that when you first become a parent, it's not every time that the first thing that is apparent to you is responsibility. It's usually like, oh, excitement. Oh, that's a baby. Oh, finally, the baby that you've been carrying for so long is here. The reality is so exciting. This little person actually belongs to me. So it's more of like, for me, it was joy. It was excitement. It was relief. It was awe. It was just, wonder that, I'm actually holding a human being in my hands, and this human being belongs to me. That was my first experience, immediately becoming a parent.
Wow. Sounds so magical.
Well, for me, the first time, not only was it a thing of joy, it kind of shaping my behavior. I used to be a risk lover. But at that point, I became a risk averter. I now calculate my risks. There, I then realize I'm not only living for myself, I'm living for somebody now. And it's shaping my behavior, the things I do, the things I shouldn't do, pretty much. That was the first thing that came to my mind.
So how did it feel like one moment you didn't have any baby, then the next moment something has come out of you and like you're having like, is it like weird? Is it like strange? Is it like, how does that feel?
Well, for me, I would say that even before the baby came, that right from pregnancy, that's when it hits you that, hey, this thing is not going to be a piece of cake. You understand? Because you are seeing your wife growing, pregnancy issues, and then you are that prepares you for what is ahead, because a lot of things begin to come up. You have to handle, take off her, watch her issues. So all those things kind of get you into that mode of something that you are entering a new phase of life, and it's no longer business as usual. Man, I have to be serious. The baby is on the way. And like when she was, when my wife was heavy, we had to start learning about pregnancy. She bought there's this big book you bought. What's it that book called? One powerful book, big one.
What to expect when you are expecting?
I don't know, it's one big book.
Yeah, I forgot the title. Yeah.
So research, reading those, apart from the fact that traditionally coming from homes where you have family and children and all that, came from a large family, she has said the same thing. But this one now is just you and your wife. So we had to start learning so many things, reading when this side, so all those things, kind of puts you in that anticipation mode. Apart from the joy when the baby, like what happens when baby comes, but you are now kind of in that mode of, hey, something is coming, I have to be ready.
Yeah.
It's suspense and joy, everything together,
Yeah, that makes sense. How about you?
Yeah, I think personally, getting married immediately, we didn't have a child immediately. We had to believe God for some, I think, about 3 years before we had our first child. But like what Mama said, is really a thing of joy. You're so happy. Oh God, I'm having a baby. I'm having a child. So you're full of joy. At the same time, you're worried. Okay, this is a precious one that God has given to you. How will you care for this child? So a lot of reading. I did a lot of reading. Okay, how do I care for this child? You get what I'm saying? And I think that was so helpful. And having support system also, I was like, so okay, I have a lot of support system. My mother-in-law is there, my mom is there, my sisters are there. You get what I'm saying? So that really helped also. So it's a thing of joy, I must say.
Okay. So to summarize, and from what I understand, the responsibility starts even before the child gets here.
Correct.
And like psyching off your mind about it starts like even before the child gets here. Okay. So my next question is, would you say you were prepared for parenthood? If yes, how so? If no, how so? Is it something that you think you were prepared for? Is it something that you thought you were prepared for, and when it came, you realized you are not prepared? Or is it something that you were prepared for, something that you didn't really think too much about?
I will say that from the moment you decide to get married, it goes with it. That is the fact that, if I marry now, there's that mentality that marriage, what follows is kids. So right from once you are saying, I want to get married, those things naturally fall into place, because you're going to take care of a woman, and then most likely you're going to take care of kids when they start coming. So all those things, you're already putting yourself in that mood of, these are the things that will happen. These are the end result of, if I take this action of getting married, most likely kids to start coming. So you're already in that mood. So from this side, look, I want to get married, you already prepared yourself for that, like that kids must also follow. So you're already set for it.
Okay.
But not to the degree that you may imagine, because like what I was saying, in fact, for the first 3 years, when I got married, I was not thinking of kids. That's the truth. She was the one that was always disturbing me. Hey, this one has passed. Nothing's, what's going on? I was not worried. I was enjoying myself. But she was the one that was worried. What's going on? 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. What's going on? I was just relaxed, enjoying my marriage, but she was the one that made me apprehensive that, what's happening? Why are we not carrying our own baby by now? Maybe she will tell you that later, but so I was just, so once you decide to get married, you're already in that mood. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, personally, I would say I wasn't prepared. Though the excitement is there, I want to have the child, but parenthood, no, I wasn't prepared. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to agree with what Deaconess said, because there is a lot of preparation, when you eventually, find out that you're expecting a baby, just like Pastor said, for most people, that's the expectation that after you get married, the next thing is children. In fact, most people, when they're thinking about getting married, they're also thinking about, so after I get married, I'm going to have kids. That's what most people. And so you try your best to be prepared. Oh, I'm going to be a good mom. I'm going to treat my kids this way. I'm not going to yell at them. I'm not going to do. But when the reality of this child is actually in my hands, what am I supposed to do? Every day opens you up to a new reality that you were not prepared for. And it doesn't mean that you're not a good parent or that you didn't make adequate preparation. Like Deaconess said, they read books. We read books too. That's why I mentioned that book, What to Expect When You're Expecting, because somebody recommended that book to me. And so we read, these books. We attended, like even when you go to your prenatal sessions, they'll ask you if you want to go to this class and that class. They taught us, different things that we were going to need. But at that moment in time when reality hits, you don't go like, oh yes, I have this, I'm prepared for this. I know exactly what to do. Grab this, grab that, do this. No, there's still some element of just like, this is a human being. What if I do something wrong? There's not a manual that comes with each child.
You learn on the go.
You keep learning as you go. Yeah. The child is crying. Why is this child crying? What am I supposed to do? Why, other kids are always quiet and asleep. Mine is crying. You start learning about, this cry means he's hungry. This cry means he's tired. This cry means he's wet, needs to be changed. This cry is just, I'm bored, because babies can get bored too, and as time goes on, you're learning because it's a learning process. You've never met this person before. So it's a relationship that you're building. You're learning about the person. They're learning about you. And, it gets to the point where you build trust. So the child knows that, well, my mommy or my daddy, they are able to anticipate my needs. So maybe I don't need to cry as much, and then the parents also know that, well, if the child is crying this way, this is probably what it means. It's a learning process. I don't think that anybody can, if there are those people, more power to them. But I don't think anybody can come out and say, I was prepared. As soon as I had this baby in my hand, I had it all.
Especially for the first,
especially your first child. And even with subsequent, because each child is different. You cannot say that, because I've done it 5 times, the 6th time will be a walk in the park. They're all different. They're all going to show you differently. I'll tell you, for example, when with my oldest, in 2 weeks, I was able to put him in a routine already. So by 7, we start getting ready for bed. I feed him, I give him a bath, I do all the nighttime routine, and he goes to bed. And he'll sleep till maybe 3, 4 before he wakes up. So when my daughter came, I thought it was going to be the same thing. No, she'll sleep all day regardless of what you do and wake up exactly at 8 p.m. and stay awake till exactly 6 a.m. Wow. Go back to sleep. And there was nothing I could do to change it. And we did that for 3 months. So they're all different and you cannot be totally prepared.
Okay, so what I understand is that even if you try as much as to read books and everything, when you're on the field and something happens, you can't go like, oh, in chapter 3 they said this, so let me do this, or in chapter 5 they said this, so it doesn't. Okay,
yeah, those things are just a guide, but
and that's where the support system becomes important, because for each issue you have to reach out, call your parents, call this, what's going on. They will tell you this, no, baby is this, baby is that, do this, do that. So there's always that fallback, reaching out to others who have gone ahead, who've had kids before. They will not tell you, oh, if baby is doing this, see what you do, see what's probably happening. You understand? That's all those advice and guidance that comes in to make sure you have an easy, smooth say. But a lot of times it helps. It helps, yeah. So you can't learn it at once, no. You have to reach back to others who are more experienced to guide you, see what you do, see what is going on, and all that.
So, okay, please, is there anything you want to add?
Well, I think they've all said it all, and also these children, they come in different way, So you can't really say this is my preparation, this is what this is as events of food itself, like we said, like life is just learning curve, you learn, you ask questions, you learn from experience, so many things. And that also help to build their wisdom back to be a better, counselor, a better advisor, and so on.
Okay. So in as much as we are talking about children giving your parents grace, I think in some they're also saying parents give yourselves grace if you are not able to do it well the first time, if you're not as prepared, like it's fine, like give yourself grace as well, right? Okay. So my next question is, what's one thing you wish you knew before becoming a parent, or you wish someone would have told you about or educated you on? What's that one thing? If you could go back, you wish this is something that someone told me before I entered this phase of my life.
I think personally, one thing I would have wished for is to know that the stages are different. You have to have different technique, different way. You can't handle the kids when they are little. You have to have different strategies when they are teenagers, when they are young adults. You have to know that. I wish I knew that ahead of time.
Okay. Okay. I'm sure that will help somebody. Okay. Anyone else wants to add to that?
Just to add to what Dickness said, in our days, it was a days of mass production where you use one technique, you just give birth to children, you believe the way the first person came, the way you raise a person, the way, we just believe this is just the norm, this is how you go. But, we live in an era where, these children are unique. And because they're unique, you need to, you need to learn how to raise them according to their uniqueness. I think it's something that some of us then we didn't know all this, but as and quite a lot of us also made that mistake of trying to compare our child with this person. Can't you see your sister, your brother? It was this way, it was that way, So these are things, we would have, we wish we would have known much better so that we'll prepare ourselves well, and that will also help us to begin to identify those uniqueness as it comes and follow it up on time.
I agree with what they've all said. We live in an era now where you have to really recognize that everybody is an individual. So it's not a one glove or one size fits all, and so it's you have to learn each child. Everybody's going to be different. But like Dickiness said, in spite of those differences, because those differences don't just end at this is what makes them who they are. And so with every stage of life, you still have to be able to adapt the upbringing, the parenting for each child according to their individual differences to still bring out, the best in them.
Yeah. So this is kind of like studying it, like you said in the beginning, you're trying to know this new baby and the baby is trying to know you.
Exactly.
So repeating that process every step of the way.
Exactly.
Okay. We are going into the realities part, so we are gradually getting to how hard or easy has raising kids been from your personal experience? And this one, I think everybody should talk because I think it's a unique experience for everybody.
I think raising kids is not a walk in the park. I think everybody already agrees on that. And then again, we've just talked about how that each kid is unique. Each kid is, each child just has, and that's how God made us. That's, when the Bible talks about being fearfully and wonderfully made, this is part of the, fearfully and wonderfully made package that you will see one child, for example, I use my own kids. One of them, is so meticulous, so diligent. Once you wake them up, they're awake. They know, everything is so, systematically done. You don't have to say much to this person to get them to, do what they need to do. You don't need too many reminders, but there's this other one that you have to remind. Even when you wake them up in the morning, you have to go back like 2 times or 3 times to make sure that they're actually awake. You have to put a little bit more pressure or a little bit more encouragement to make them, keep going, and so children are different. Children are so, so yeah, it's not easy because, like my husband was saying, you cannot just, it's not a mass production. We're not doing that anymore. If you say, oh, why can't you be like this child? Why can't you be like this child? Well, guess what? There's other things that this other child is doing that this one cannot do. Everybody has their unique differences, their talents, their, strong points, their weaknesses. And as a parent, you have to harness all of that. You have to, while, accentuating this person's, strengths, not be seen to be putting them down based on their weaknesses. So it's a balancing act, between, for each child and between, as many children as you have.
I think that is so important. So you said like harnessing their strength but not putting down their weaknesses. I think that might be like the most difficult thing to be able to
It
do.
is, because as parents, we want to compare. Can't you see this person? Can't you see your friend? Can't you see, and things like that. And, for us growing up, when people come to the house, they immediately line us up and start reporting, does your daughter do this? Does your son do that? Look at my own, he's doing this. Look at my own doing that. But, we didn't really, that doesn't have it's counter effective, if I can put it that way, and so nowadays we try, to stay away from that, because those things have lasting impact and effect. And if you've experienced that, you don't want to pass that on, but you still don't want to downplay the fact that as a parent, part of the responsibility of parenthood is to make sure that I accentuate your strengths while helping you overcome your weaknesses.
Wow. I think if you don't get anything from the episode at all, that sentence, you should take that sentence home. Yes. Any other inputs on how difficult or easy has raising your kids been?
Well, for me, I will say that raising a child is not easy. It's a sacrifice that every parent has to make. What may make the difference is, again, your environment, where the child is raised. Like, before we came to America, Nigeria, it was much easier to raise a child. Even in that environment, it was still not easy. But comparing the two over there and here, you find that back there you have support system. Her mother can come, my mom can come, sisters can come. You have helpers who can take some burden off you. You understand what I'm saying? So all those things made it easy or easier to shoulder that kind of child raising compared to where we are now, where you are just on your own, and then it's much harder here than back home. And even though at home it wasn't easy, but you had support system to help you cope and go through.
So community is important.
Very, very.
It's very important.
Very, very.
Okay.
Another thing I would like to add is that when Pastor said sacrifice, being a parent, one of the things that makes it difficult is part of a lot of things that you have to deny yourself. Even things as simple as the TV shows that you like to watch. I remember that before I had kids, I used to wonder why whenever I hang around people with kids, I'm looking at grown-ups and they're talking about, oh, have you seen the latest, this cartoon or that, kids show or this. I'm like, adults, like we don't have anything else to talk about. But then I became a parent too, and that became because that's what we watch all the time.
Attend birthday parties.
We attend birthday parties for things. I have things that I can be doing. I can no longer go and hang out with my girlfriends where I want to.
At all.
Your time is no longer for you alone. You realize now that you have to share it with these people who are your responsibility, and they take the bulk of your time. You don't even share it equally, so even as little as, okay, what to cook for dinner, everybody has to eat the same thing. So maybe I cannot put as much pepper as I would have liked, or maybe I cannot, do this. I have to do this instead, so it comes with a lot of sacrifices.
To watch cartoon with them.
Yeah, you have to, watch their own TV shows. You also have to be mindful of what you're watching in their presence, because these kids are like sponges. They're taking up everything, I remember when my kids were much younger, so we don't watch a lot of these reality shows at home, especially because, many of them have like inappropriate languages and stuff like that. But I taken my kids to the babysitter, and then we came back, and one day they were having a conversation, and the younger one said, "Mama, where did you get that from?" "Oh, we saw it at grandma's place." "What?" "Oh yeah, grandma watches it all the time, every morning." I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know. So I had to go have a word with grandma, like, no, you cannot be watching this. Yeah, because, and grandma came from the generation that, my husband talked about, where, one size fits all. They would say, oh, they're kids. What do they know? Oh no, they know everything.
They know so much.
So you have to give up a lot.
To sacrifice, yeah.
Sacrifice a lot to make sure that you give them, the best, and that you also bring out the best in them.
Yeah.
Well, for me, pastor talk about environment, raising children or raising a child these days is quite challenging, from a psychology perspective, an individual child, behavior, it's mainly shaping by the environment. They said, the tendency for them to take 30% of their parental trait, family trait is 30%, while the 70% is, shaping by the environment. So environment, is playing a lot of role. Both environment you brought up, social media environment, a lot of environment, a lot of things, and especially in the era where you have moral decadence on the increase and all those things, So many things going on, it's becoming very challenging. That you really have to ask for wisdom to know how to deal with all these issues, So it's quite challenging, and you need a lot of grace, and you need a lot of prayer, and you need a lot of, really need to be there. Like some of us that used to be traditional husband, when you look at these things, the way things are happening, you just have to leave whatever you're doing to be, make it let your presence be, so that, because it takes two of you, to be able to say, like, for instance, I have a son now that beginning to see himself as a man, where when the mother talk, he looks at himself, that listen as a woman. So he needs somebody, a man like me, to come, talk to him to be able to understand. So these are the things, the environment, like I said, decadence is an increase. And also the environment, like this part of the world is different from where some of us were born, So you have to be mindful of this, the environment we're in and the way things go, the rules, everything, so that you don't end up in prison and the world will take over your child rather than you, So it's challenging, but we're not shying away from the challenge, and God is helping us to rise up to the responsibility, and they can only be well. Thank you.
I like the fact that, like, you mentioned, like, all the facts, like 30%, 70%, and at the end of the day, you added prayer. No matter which way you decide to go about this, you need like some kind of intervention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
Not just like what your pastor said. I thought we'll get there. It's not just some kind. It has to be intensive, because the kind of culture we have now, the kind of environment we have now is terrible. So your advice, your training would no longer be enough to sustain that child once he or she steps outside your house. You need to be on your altar so that even when they are about to stray, a voice will sound behind their ears. No, this is the way, walk in this way. And that voice can only come
when you pray
from the altar.
Not even like, even while in your house, especially these days of social media, you know. You know, so
yeah,
you know, it's challenging, you know, it's challenging, and but we're trusting God and doing all we can to make sure that you know, they become who God wants them to be.
Being a parent in the times when we were kids, I mean, our parents had their stick, and you know, the fear of the stick was the beginning of wisdom. You know, but now you really cannot wield it that way. You still have to discipline your children, but discipline must not be the stick. You know, it's probably not even going to produce you know, the effect that you want it to. So prayer has to be the beginning, the middle, and the end, you know, because our Creator God is the one who knows how and what and which way you should go for each one of them. Like Pastor said, that voice speaking to them is more potent than the voice of their parents. And the only way to, you know, activate that voice is through prayer. You know, you need intervention, you need divine intervention, and it is desperate need that for every parent that you have divine backing raising your kids. Otherwise, you know, anything can happen, you know, especially in the environment, and even in the environment that we came from, things have changed.
Yeah, a lot.
Things have changed so much that if you do not have a place where you hold your children down steadily, which is the altar of prayer, you can get anything. You can get anything, and most times it may not be good.
Moving on, we are moving on from the perspective of the kids. So what are some of the things we, the kids, can do to make things easier for you? Because throughout this conversation, we are being exposed to the reality of what it takes to actually be a parent. So in our position, what are some of the things we can do to make things easier for you?
just knowing the Lord. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. That is my motto. Once a child is born again, every other thing follows. I don't need to be there with them. Knowing the Lord solves a lot of problems, mental health problems, a lot of issues. You get what I'm saying? So knowing the Lord as your personal savior. Yeah, I always have that conversation, and that is my prayer. Father, let them know you as their Lord and personal savior. Every other thing follows.
I agree with Dickon. As you know, the Bible says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's old, he will not depart from it. So I really believe that a child being grounded in the Lord will make things a whole lot easier. Another thing that and this is maybe for my own personal, is as a parent, the majority of my role is guidance. But I cannot guide you if I don't know what's going on with you. So when the children are little, oh, mommy, this happened, daddy, this happened. But you find that as they get older, they tend to begin to see you
They're
as,
withdrawn.
you know, you don't get it. So they want to withdraw from you. They want to talk to their friends instead. Now, mind you, your friends, they're not bad people, but you all are seeing life from the same perspective because you're all on the same level. You haven't gone this journey before. There's a reason why God gave, you know, children to parents, because I was once your age. Even though a lot of kids find that difficult to believe that their parents were once children, you know, and so I encourage parents, sometimes if you have your baby pictures, if you have, you know, show it to your children so that they can see that one time, you know, you were like them. It's true that times have changed, but I still have perspective. I still have, by the grace of God, the wisdom of, you know, having passed through
Experience.
You know, that you will never have until you make that journey as well. So if I've already made that journey, why do you have to go through it to learn, to gain the experience? But if you don't come to me, if you don't open up, and I know that as kids get to a certain age, they start to withdraw. That is, to me, that's one of the things that I find so difficult, how to pull you out of your shell, how to make you open up, because if you don't tell me, how will I know? Don't wait until, something terrible happens, or now, there's an explosion of emotions, or there's, things have gone so bad. And then I'm now just finding out, let's talk about things. Let the communication lines remain open. Your parents are still your parents. No matter how bad you think it is, they're still your parents. They have your back more than anybody else. So regardless of what it is, come to them with confidence. The same way God tells us that we should come to Him with confidence. The same way, come to your parents.
Yeah.
Let them know what it is. Ask them questions. Even if your views, are different from theirs, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let me understand why you're thinking the way you're thinking, and you to understand why I'm saying what I'm saying to you. I think that will make things a whole lot easier. My child knows the Lord, and my child, I have communication lines open with this child at every stage of their life. I think that will make things so much easier.
Okay. So knowing that, like, when your child is able to, like, be able to open up and come, it will make a lot of things easier. Why do you think as we grow, we tend to have that, like, withdrawal from our parents? Because they've proven to us time and time again that they're on our side. So why is it that as we grow, we tend to trust outsiders with, let's say, our lives or what is going on, than to just, like, open up and tell them what is going on?
I think based on what Mama just talked about, it has to still do with the fact that you as a parent, you have been trying to focus them in this. You have your do's and don'ts at the on, and then as they are growing up, leaving the house, meeting their peers and all that, they are learning something different, and then they begin to see you as the enemy. That's a quote, because they have friends, they go out, and maybe some of their friends are doing what you as a parent is asking them not to do. And you're asking, why is my case different? Why is my mommy not allowing me to do this? That why becomes a challenge in their head. Why am I not being allowed to do what my friends are doing? Becomes a big problem. So when they see it outside, see it in class, see it in school, see others doing it, maybe even sit in church. And then you are saying, don't do this, don't wear this, don't go. Becomes that why becomes a big. So they begin to see you, the parent, as the enemy. And so there's that tendency to now begin to shy away, not wanting to, because mommy will not allow it, daddy will not allow it.
Oh, so if I tell mommy,
If I tell mommy
she'll
and daddy,
say no.
no, it's no. They know what
So
they
I'll
already
tell
know what
mommy.
your answers will be for any issue. So that becomes the first roadblock. And until what she said, until when you're able to see that and say, look, these are why I'm saying this, and make them see reason. You reason together. Let's understand ourselves why I'm not allowing this. And then God helping us, you're able to buy into the okay. But a lot of times, because they are independent teen rebellion, they don't see it as such, But if as parents we keep hammering on it, maybe by God's grace, later, like for me, I had that same challenge. Do you know it was in my final year in university that I boldly, disobediently brought a girl home for the first time in my life. And he was saying, to my father's house. I said, no, I must have my independence. I'm not a baby. What's all this? Why can't I, for the first time, they saw a lady come to visit me in the house. My final year in school. In college, now I'm not talking about this year. I was almost leaving school already, you know. But all this while, they were trying to guide us. These are the things that could happen. Be careful, focus on your studies. These are not needed now. Just focus. But when you're in that phase, you don't see it that way. You see it as oppression. You see it as denying you your rights, your freedom.
It's funny. It's kind of like our relationship with God, like with the rules in the Bible.
That's just it.
It's for our benefits.
Until you fall into trouble, you will not know what your parents have been trying to guide against.
Always the best.
Always, yeah.
So then we have a problem because if we want the best for you and so we are putting things in place, but with us putting things in place, it causes you to withdraw from us and you go and fall into the same trouble we are keeping you. Then how the cycle, like what is the solution?
Like Mama just said, is open line of communication, very important. You see what I'm saying? So even though as parents you have your do's and don'ts and your child comes and said, okay, present something to you, you don't just say no, because we are Christians, or it is against the will of God. You see what I'm saying? You try to sack the child. Tell me if your child comes and says, Mommy, I'm going to the beach tomorrow. This is what I'm wearing. And she brings like a very skimpy, you get what I'm saying? Don't just like, my friend, you can't wear this. You see what I'm saying? Psych her, talk to her, communicate with her, and see where she's coming from. At times, you let go some things. You get what I'm saying? As parents, to see where the child is heading towards. You get what I'm saying? Like, personally in our house, we said, okay, no dread. They can't do dreadlocks. They can't do this. But the kids, they keep having the conversation with the dad and I. Why can't we do this? You get what I'm saying? And there are times I don't have answers for them. I will say, okay, I'll go meet your dad. You see what I'm saying? So, especially with the environments that we are living, you get what I'm saying? They see this when they go to school. They come back and say, Mommy, why can't I pierce my nose? Why can't I wear some ankle bracelets? You get what I'm saying? So you have to have that open line of communication with them. If not, you just tell them now, they'll go out there and do it. When they go to college, you'll tell your daughter is dressing like this in school. You get what I'm saying? But you want to tell them the reason behind and not just telling them no.
There was a time our daughter ordered, she was allowed to order a dress online. And when the dress came out, my wife was like, why do you allow this? Did you see what she was ordering before she paid for this?
Yeah.
We had to return it. She had to return it back. So you can't wear this. So all those...
But even with that, there are some clothes she will tell me, okay, I'll tell her. So we have that conversation. I allow her to get away with some certain things. So, Mommy, I want to do my hair like this. Okay, that is fine. You get what I'm saying? Because if not, they are learning out there. You get what I'm saying? So you have to be careful with that. You get if not, they will learn outside. So that open line of communication is a key. You get what I'm saying? And also depending on the child. Personally, we have 3 introverts and we have just 1 extrovert. Okay. So you have to be careful when you have kids that are introverts because they are more prone to depression and mental health instability because they can withdraw to themselves and never discuss anything with you. But my extrovert son, I won't lie to you. He would tell me when he has like 20 over 100. Mommy, do you know what happened today? I didn't pass this course. He would tell me, Mommy, I want to you get what I'm saying? Yeah. You see where I'm coming from? They are more open. I remember him telling me, Mom, why are people on antidepressants? All of my friends are on antidepressants. And trust me, I enjoyed those conversations with him. So I started, I have to schedule like every 2 weeks Zoom to call him, to be on Zoom meeting with him because he's far off. So he's not exposed to mental health issues. You get what I'm surrounding him. So I have to keep more eyes on him. You get what I'm saying? Compared to my introverts, that they won't tell you, they won't talk to you most of the time. So that is where prayer comes in.
Well, I think some of one way things can be much better was where we live in a generation, like we always say, very arrogant generation. Very arrogant generation is also a problem. where nobody can tell me what to do. Like we used to tell, you can't run away from instruction. There's nowhere you will grow to in life where you don't need instruction, where you don't need to do this. So, we just wish, they can be meek enough to learn, like everybody have said here, we are once there based on the experience we've gathered, like me, I made my mistakes. I won't want my child to repeat that mistake. So if my child repeats that mistake, these are things we call a curse. That might become I'm a failure. So they need to be guided. But you see, with this generation they don't want to hear anything. They know everything. They keep making that mistake. It's so hurting. The next one there is I wish there would be focus in whatever they're doing, and having identify their vision, having a mission, and stay focused. Not tomorrow, every time they come back, can I do this? Can I do that? Can I do this? This person is doing this. Can I do this? This person is doing this. It kind of give me a concern that this person doesn't know where he or she is going. So if they can have that mission in life, stay focused to it, be willing also for advice, and listen, they say when you advise a wise man, he become wiser. It will be life will be so better for everyone, both the parents and both for the child or the children.
We've had some good points on things that we as the kids can do to make things easier for our parents. And we'll move on to our next question, but I just want to emphasize on a few: knowing God, open communication, focus, being humble and meek enough to learn, because they've journeyed through this journey of life already. So why would you want to learn from experience? Experience is not the best teacher. Let's not put ourselves through the same. Let's just listen, humble ourselves, and then learn
Follow
from
examples.
their experience. Yes. Learn from examples. Yes. Okay, so my next question is, what are some of the things we do that make parenting unbearable for you? So the first one was, what are some of the things we can do to make it easier? So what are some of the things kids in general do that make it unbearable, that make it even more difficult for you?
Not knowing the times and seasons. Yeah. Time management, improper time management is a big one that kills you.
Give us some more elaboration.
Especially in their teenage years, like, of course, training you from a child to become it when you are 19, there are some expectations that we parents believe you should have. Get what I'm saying? Knowing what to do at a particular time and season. Get what I'm saying? Okay. Let's say, for example, when you were in high school or elementary school, I was on you, knowing when to submit your homework, knowing what to do at a particular time, knowing that you have to wake up at this time. Then let's say you are not, let's say, college, and I still have to be reminding you of those. It's unbearable.
It is.
Say.
It is.
Yes, it is very unbearable. You should know, okay, I have to be on my task. You get what I'm saying? They shouldn't call me from wherever you are and tell me, and they won't even call you, but you will definitely see the child declining yourself as a parent, which definitely makes you crazy as a parent. You get what I'm saying? Making sure you master those tasks. Okay, I have to be on this. One is not here, that is not here, to remind me. So that is number one for me personally. Yeah.
And knowing the times and seasons.
Yes.
Okay.
And I agree with Dickiness, and even with knowing times and seasons, even things like time management. Okay, we're going to such and such a place. The appointment is for 10 o'clock. We need to leave here by 9, and at 8:45 you're just going to the bathroom. So what have you been doing the whole time? And if you check it, maybe they were playing a game on their phone or on their computer, or just didn't get up when you asked them to get up. or you're up, but you're just, dragging and dragging. The time is not waiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
You need to, for those of us who still have kids that are, ride the bus, don't come every morning and tell me you missed the bus.
Yeah.
That is so irresponsible.
Yeah.
If you wake up on time, you have enough time to get ready and get going. Because if I have to, stop my own program to go drop you off because you missed the bus, guess what? I'm going to be behind too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I don't have it in my program for the day that I'm going to drive, through the carpool line to drop you off at school. So even those little things as time management, be on time. Don't wait till the last minute to submit your report. Then now, instead of going to bed at 9 o'clock, you're awake till 1 a.m. doing a report that you had a week to do. What were you doing with the rest of your time? Because those things, parents already have a lot to deal with. We're dealing with real life.
Yeah.
You're still being sheltered. I have, my work responsibilities. I have church responsibilities. I have other things, going on in and around me. Why do I have to make out time to sit on the computer or to actually go to a physical conference with your teachers? Because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So those kinds of things, make it unbearable. Other things about being so wasteful. Why is the water running? Why are you in the shower for 2 hours with water running the whole time? That is money that is going down the drain. Why do you, with food, why do you have to eat a whole loaf of bread? It's not necessary. And it's not, for me, these things is not even about affording it. It's about, this is a lifestyle that I don't want you to imbibe because it's not helpful to you.
Yeah.
Eventually, you're going to grow up. You're going to own your own place. You cannot be eating like this. It's not good for your health. It's not good for your pocket. It's not good for your person.
Yeah.
So just things like that, not taking responsibility. So you pass by, you see something that's not the way it's supposed to be, fix it. Things like that. And if you fix this now, then you have, they say a stitch in time saves 9. So if you don't save that, that one stitch, more other things, are going to be out of place. Now it's going to take more time, to fix it. And, things like that. And then of course, things like, your attitude, fix your attitude. Don't be talking back at me when I'm talking to you. Don't be, acting like I'm bothering you when I have something to say to you, don't act like you're responsible for me, because it's the other way around, and things like that. So these are things that make it really, really unbearable. Rude, disrespectful behavior, ingratitude, wasteful, wastefulness, and improper time management. Those are some of the things, and as parents, we have to deal with it.
Yeah.
We have to deal with it. Yes, sometimes we get angry, but we have to deal with it. And like I said, our kids, they're all a work in progress. So for some kid, time management may not be so much of an issue. With another kid, is a lot of an issue, and you have to balance, balance all that. But yeah, I think these are a few of the things that make it really unbearable.
Okay. Good point. But I think for me, one of the things is life and not growing up. Somebody said there are 2 people you can't lie to. And they say you can't lie to your doctor, else you will die of that affliction. You can't lie to your lawyer, else you go to prison. But I also think that you can't lie to your parents, because your parents mean well for you. So it makes life very, unbearable when the child cannot tell you the truth. And not growing up, like Papa will always say life is in phases, men are in sizes. Nobody want to raise an adult baby. You want to see a child, they make their mistake, but life is in phases, men are in sizes. There are phases of life, at a certain stage of life, you expect them to, overgrown it. Paul said when he was a child, he behaved like a child. But when he became, you expect some adult behavior. when you become a teenager, you want to see a teenager behavior. And when you get to a certain age, maybe 21, you want to see an adult behavior. So when you are not seeing these things, the behavioral, this thing, retrogressing and all this, you are not happy as a parent. It make life very, unbearable for any parent, So that's all I have to add on that.
Let me just also add one other thing is this youthful exuberance. They want to assert themselves because either they have age or they feel that the system allows it.
Give them advantage
Give
on this.
advantage, and then they want to tell them, look, I'm a teenager, I'm 18, I'm 21. Something happened, sometime in the past. One of our kids, he said he wants to work. Mona said, no, don't work. You just entered college. That's work on the side as other kids do. And I said, no, why not understand the system, see how your program is. I will talk about time and season. See how your program is, and then see how, if it fits your schedules before you now starting of adding work to school. Say, no, just focus on your school. Let us worry about other things. But we're able to, look, you must focus on school for now. And the same guy who was saying he wants to work, a few months down the road, and he said, college is too tough. The program is too tight. Oh, so what if you have added work now? What would you be saying? With all the schedule you have, work loads every day, assignments back to back. So if you have added work now to this,
you're saying life
you survive?
But I've been saying life is too tough.
No. So your mom was right. We saw this and said, no, focus first.
Yeah.
It's not time for work now. But because of they just want to go aside themselves because they saw others doing it. You feel he could do it. But he's not seeing the reality of college life, campus like that. Hey, it's tough. The too much assignments, they just bombard them and then, say, now you know.
Wow. So, in what you've all been saying, it's like ways that we can help have to do with mostly like our personality. Most of everything that you said has to do with mostly our personality. So how if something is your personality, how do you what is the remedy? Like how do you advise that they go up? So let's say maybe I don't want to be exuding youthful exuberance, or I don't want to be so rude or wasteful at home or something, but I don't know that is what I'm doing. I'm not aware that this is my personality or this is how I am. What would you advise?
So I don't know necessarily that that's your personality. I think that's just a phase of life. And then, because for example, Pastor says something about lying. Lying can never be your personality. Please don't let it be your personality. Because you will never understand the damage that lies can do to a person until they get to a point where people need to stick their neck out for you and nobody's willing. Not even your parents can come out and say, no, I on everything that is honest and true, I can vouch for this person that it is as they say it is. When nobody can say that for you, you are finished. Because man was not designed to live in isolation. We're designed as a community. If you have no community, you are finished. Because sometimes the difference between what is going to make you or break you in that situation is the support that community will show to you in that situation. But people will start, no, no. And everybody's just as withdrawing. Even your family cannot come out with confidence and say, whatever he or she said, it is what it is. You don't want to be at that point and realize that you went down the wrong road. So if you're used to telling lies, I usually ask, what is the reason? What are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? If it's yes, say yes. If it's no, say no. Even if you're going to get a talking to or going to get some kind of repercussion, it's better that you get there and be free and be done Then you tell this lie today, you have to tell another one tomorrow.
To
you
keep
have to
covering it up.
building it, and eventually it's going to still fall through.
And I think that is when it becomes, you can't even control yourself
You
now.
know?
Lying becomes
And it's going to fall through, and you're the only person being deceived, because from the very first day that you told the first lie, everybody knew that you were lying.
Lying, exactly.
Because if they didn't have some kind of doubt, we won't be asking you over and over again. Now with the other things about, youthful exuberance, yes, young people will be young people, but there's something called self-control. Bringing us back to children, know God for yourself. Part of the, the evidence of the fruit of the Spirit is self-control.
Yeah.
It's so funny. We're having a conversation yesterday, myself and, my older kids. And I'm of the opinion that people who go and do these daredevil stunts, jumping from skydiving, daredevil rides, like when you go to the theme parks and fairs and stuff. My personal belief is that stems from a place of ingratitude. You're no longer happy for the life that God has given you. You're telling him that I can do whatever I like with it, and you cannot do anything. Because if you value your life, you will not put yourself in a situation where you might die. And what gives you pleasure is the fact that I dared death and I didn't die. Because at any point in time that they say mishap, you are going to die. Even if you survive it, your quality of life is so diminished that life is no longer worth living. Of course, they didn't agree with me. Because when they go to, parks and rides, those are the kind of things that appeal, So we all have differences in how we think, but my opinion, just like Pastor said, when you became a parent, immediately some of those, unnecessary, and now at that time they didn't seem unnecessary. But at that point, he began to see them as unnecessary. I don't have to do this because if I do this, this is how it's going to impact my family. Because you don't think that it's going to impact anybody. You want to go, jump off, airplane and hope that your parachute opens up and things like that. I wouldn't do that. And maybe when they get to to where I am in life, they too may not. So these are things that come with, age and experience and things like that. But just as a child growing up, if you have imbibed, self-control, if you have made it a habit to, we used to tell the Lord, yoga was listen and obey. Those are just so powerful statements. Listen, then obey. If it has become a part of you, turn off the water. You are getting ready to brush your teeth in the morning. You haven't even put toothpaste on your brush, but the tap is already running. And the tap will be running the entire time.
When you put the battery waste.
It is, there are times in our own home, on Sunday morning, my husband and I, have to scramble early in the morning to take a shower. Because if you don't do that, you will use cold water.
Yes. They will use the
one person will go there, it's not necessary. How long does it take to take a shower? So these are things that if you don't learn it now, you will find out that, I remember a funny story that I heard, a long time ago. This man, well-to-do man, trying to be, strict with his son, and his son kept saying, I can't wait until I leave this house. I can't wait until I leave this house. And so when he turned 18, he said, oh, I'm going to find my own place. And the dad was like, okay, fine, find your own place. I'm going to support you and pay for the first 3 months. After that, you're on your own. And he was like, oh, that's nice, Dad. So he found a place. His father paid for 3 months. So everything, all the bills, everything were paid for. Well, the 4th month, the daddy was getting ready to go to work, and the son called him. Dad, the light is off and there's no water. And the dad said, well, did you pay your bills? I paid the rent. Well, did you pay for the light and water? Oh, you have to pay for that too. So he didn't know that all those things that he took for granted, somebody was paying for them. But when you get to the point where you have to pay for those things yourself, do you really want to be throwing your money down the drain like that? Don't you want to, establish some sort of, financial safety and security for yourself? These are things like where you could be saving, so if you just listen to your parents, if you just think about what they're telling you, you may not always agree, but like Pastor say, know that they have your best interest at heart.
And another thing I would definitely add is getting them involved. in the B payment for the house. You get what I'm saying? Knowing definitely, okay, this is how much we pay for mortgage. This is how much the mic costs. This is how much the water costs. This is how much your car insurance costs. Definitely helps a lot. This is how much your tuition cost. This is how much the feeding and the home cost. This is how many hours your mom or your dad, they have to work to bring this money in. Having that family conversation helps a lot. Does help a lot.
That's a good
Because when they tell you, when I tell them, okay, the Duke Power for the house cost $250 last month, you'll be truthful, you'll be very sincere with yourself, going back to your room to turn off those lights. So showing them the bills, showing them that you don't even take vacation because of all of these bills. Come on now, we are human beings. When they go back to their room, they think. You get what I'm saying? Showing you that when you drive more than the speed limit and you get caught, we have to cough out like $300 to pay a lawyer. You get what I'm saying? And that increases the car insurance for you all. Definitely when you're driving, you're careful. So it brings some sense of responsibility.
Sanity.
Yeah, it brings some to that.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for the input.
Okay, take a pause. If you're vibing with this episode, go ahead and subscribe. It's free, it's easy, and it keeps you diving with us every week.
So I want to ask, most kids in our generation, even from your inputs, said like they speak rudely, they disrespect and all that. And then I want to ask, when your kids talk back at you or disrespect you, how does it affect you as a parent, physically, emotionally, spiritually? Because sometimes we think we are just saying words and oh, it's mommy, she will come back, but then we don't know what mommy is also feeling, or what effects or mental impact we've also had on her. So I want to ask, in spite of the fact that no matter what we do, they will be our kids, they will be their parents, how do those kinds of interactions, arguments, disrespectfulness, talking back, how does it affect you as a parent, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually?
I want to say, there was a poem that my dad used to, just two lines from the poem that my dad used to tell us when we were growing up. And it says, how sharper than a viper's tooth are the words of an unthankful child. Ingratitude, disrespect, it's so painful.
Mm-hmm.
It's really heartbreaking, especially because as your kids are growing, at that point, it's almost like a switch. One day they were, sweet and nice, and suddenly it's like there's two sides and I'm the enemy. Like, why are we against each other? We are supposed to be, on the team. And the truth of the matter is that it's a phase. And with prayer, with discipline, continuing to understand and talk and enforce, they're going to come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to come back to your side.
Mm-hmm.
But while you're going through that phase, it is difficult. It is painful. It's heartbreaking. And so, many times as parents, we put up a bold front, we get upset, we speak to them, sternly and all that. But in your closet, you're broken. Mm-hmm. Like, is this my child? My child really said this to me? Is this what they think of? It's not a pleasant experience. Because we're humans too. We have feelings. I think children don't remember that. They think we are their sounding board. They can just throw whatever, say whatever, do whatever. We are supposed to be able to take and absorb everything. They are the ones who have problems. We don't have a clue what they're going through. But we are human beings. We're people too. So it's very, very painful. It hurts, that I'm here, doing my best for you to make sure that you have the best outcomes in everything that you do. I'm supporting you. I'm providing for you. I'm giving you my best. And then I get disrespect. I get, just talk back and rude, bad behavior in return. It's very painful. It's very painful.
I think one important thing that you said was that you are human beings too, and you have feelings too, and we forget about that. Because in as much as we are also expressing our emotions to you because we are human beings and that is what we are feeling in the moment, we forget that the person that we are expressing them to is also a human being. I think that's like a very important point. Is there anything else that anyone wants to add? How it impacts physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually?
Let me say that as Africans, the way we're brought up, you don't talk back at your parents. You never, ever, ever try. Even as I am now, I find it very, very hard, difficult to talk back at my parents. I'm over 50. You get what I'm saying? I find it extremely hard to talk back at them because of the way we're brought up. So when we now see our own kids now growing up and now having this tendency to talk back, to reply back, you say one, they say two, you try to steer them in a direction, they try to go a different direction. Like what Mama just said, it's so hard, but I don't know how to put it. It's heartbreaking because the way we grew up, it's not done. It doesn't happen. It's not even a discussion. It's not even a discussion. You cannot. You can't try it. So, but we're not saying that this generation now having that issue. It hurts, but then you will not have to know this is a different generation. Then you not try to environment. You not try to. Of course, when it happen, when they try, they see the reaction. They see I won't mention some things on air here. They see some of how the two of us handle such things. At times you have to go. I don't let me not talk. I don't think you checkmate some of these things and make them see that look, you don't talk back at your parents, and there are better ways to express yourself and let us know how you feel. We'll listen to you. We'll reason together. Bring your reason. Tell us why you feel this should not be, and then we'll meet ourselves somewhere along the line. If your reason is sound, we'll buy it. If it's not,
I think even the non-communication, what's it called? Verbal communication is even worse. Like rolling up, oh God, you get what I'm saying? Yeah. As parents will still forgive. It's still very heartbreaking. Personally, I try to be silent that period, because I don't want to lose my temper. If I do that, I'll, yeah. So allow the child for a while, then have a conversation later on. I discovered personally raising up kids, the most disciplined kids don't do that. The ones you discipline, like when I need like African training, they will never talk back. I have one. Will never talk back at you. Get what I'm saying? Later on, he will bring his own strong reason. But the one a little bit of American parenting style, they'll roll their eyes. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, but like bringing them to church, that is where training them in the fear of the Lord comes in. That you can have a meaningful conversation with your parents without being rude. You get what I'm saying? Having youth program, teaching them how to come, because they need it even when they go to their professional job. They need to know how to communicate by getting control of their temper. They need to know their emotions. You get what? They can't succeed. Even if you are becoming a doctor, engineer, you have to be able to control your emotions. So if you can't learn that while you're in your home, you can learn it when you're grown up. So having that conversation with them, that you can always bring your strong reasons. We are not saying you must do this. We can have a conversation. But like being rude from nowhere, just talking back at your parents now is a no-go. Yeah, it's very painful.
Well, it is very painful. Talking back at a parent, being rude, inappropriate gestures, and all those things, is being rebellious. And we know how the Bible, as Christians, equate rebellion. It says the sin of it kind of equated with the sin of witchcraft. So you see, it's not good at all. And like I said, every parent wants the child to be great in life. And these are little things that affect destinies. So it hurts the parents to see all this. It hurts the parents.
I think one important thing he said was these are little things that affect destiny. He said, I think if we can all elaborate on that, I think we don't have not. Bible says that for lack of knowledge, my people perish, and I think we do not have knowledge on the power or authority God has given our parents over how the rest of the course of our lives will go. Even the longevity of our lives depends on how much we respect our parents. So I want us to just give a few points on how much impacts do our parents have on the destiny of our lives, not even physically, but even like if your mother even says something over you in the heat of a moment, like your daughter will do something to you or something of the sort. I want us to talk a bit about that.
The Bible says children should honor their parents so that they will live long. In fact, the Bible says that is the first commandment, with a promise. And when I was growing up, my mom had a cousin. He was a student in the university at the time. He was the youngest of, 3 kids. One thing about this cousin of my mom, rebellion. If you want him to do something, tell him not to do it. That was his lifestyle. Do whatever I want to do, act however I want to act. Nobody can tell me anything. And as kids then, he used to come, to our house. He was so huge, more than 6 feet tall. We liked him a lot because, he would play with us, he would throw us around and everything. So we thought he was so cool. And we didn't understand why the adults always had a problem, with him. But I remember he passed. And what happened? He had just passed out of youth service. So when you graduate from university in Nigeria, you go for your national youth service where you serve, the country, whatever capacity they want for a year. And at the end of that year, there's a passing out ceremony. So he just passed out that day and he came home. And everybody was happy. And then around 11, he said, he's going out to hang out with his friends. And his aunt was like, no, it's late. And he was like, you don't talk to me. You don't tell me what to do. Yada, yada, yada. And he grabbed the car keys and he got in the car and took off at the speed of light. He never made there. Straight, So, this, it may not always be that, graphic, but there's always something cut short from your destiny when you live in rebellion and disobedience. There is a reason why God said of all the promises that he could make to add, of commandments he gives to add a promise to you, the first one that he gave was, parents, honor your father and your mother. I've seen instances where, for example, the late pastor, Bimbo Odukoya, I heard her children give testimony when the son was saying how the mother was speaking over them. You with your voice like this, you will sing. You will sing. This one will sing. This one will serve God. This one will sing. And she used to say that, over and over again over her oldest daughter. Now, when Pastor Tolu, I think Tolu is her name, or I can't remember her full name. I mean, when she sings, the glory comes down. She used to talk about her son. You will preach the gospel. The devil will not have you. The world will not have you. He ran around everywhere. Now, where is he now? He's on the
pulpit, but they're over it.
You know what I'm saying? So the words that we speak over our children are very important. But the Bible says, children, don't provoke even though the parents shouldn't provoke their children, but the children should honor their parents. Because when you don't honor your parents, when you dishonor them, you are bringing a curse on yourself that is even beyond sometimes what your parents can undo. Yes, sometimes when you get them upset, they may say words that they shouldn't. And many times I encourage parents, please go back and, take those words back. Pray over it, cancel it. And, like Deaconess said, sometimes when they start doing acting, just be quiet. Just learn to be quiet. Because words that you speak, in that season, even for those of us that, sometimes we're in the habit of, I learned from an early age that when you beat your children, hit them with your hand in anger, you are laying your hands on them. And the Bible said that when Moses laid his hand on Joshua, the Spirit of God, the same way you are transferring anger.
So your child that was maybe his anger level was right here, suddenly every little thing, this child, is like a combustible because you have been anointing him with the spirit of anger. You have been anointed. I'm not against disciplining, but you yourself, check your emotions before you start. Process it first. So that when you discipline your child, it's not because I am angry with you, it's because of what you have done. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
That is not my emotions that I'm, taking out on you. Is the consequence of your action that you are receiving, whatever the discipline is. But it's not an easy thing. Many times we are caught up in the heat of the moment because how can your child, like Pastor said, we never dreamt of it. Even in our thoughts, we'll be angry with our parents, but we are angry in our mind.
Mhm.
We couldn't even discuss it with everybody because you may tell your sister or your brother or they'll go and report you. Now you are so this is what you are thinking. Now you are even in more trouble for the content of your thoughts. So you processed by yourself and you dealt with it and you kept moving.
Mhm.
But now you have the audacity. Stand in front of me, roll your eyes, won't take me from side to side. What? Are you even walking away? Like goodness.
Banging the doors.
I'm banging doors in my house that I pay for. What? So these things are, they're annoying. They're enough to get you, round up and, you want to react, but, children try as much as possible to, help your parents in the way that you react to them. Parents try as much as possible to not to react in the heat of the moment. It's not always the easiest thing, but God will help us. But as parents, we are almost in the place of God to these children. So when we speak over them, it's very valid. God honors it, whether good or bad. Whether good or bad. And so that's something that I want us to keep in mind.
Wow, that's so powerful, especially with the anointing of that. I have never ever thought of that before. God wish you bless you. Any other inputs on the impact that you as parents have on the destiny of your child?
Again, I'd like to say that as parents now, we should live by example. Live by example. It is not what we say, but rather,
That is in do.
is it doing what we do, what they see us do. That's key to bringing up our kids, what they see us do. Let me give you this example. There was a day my daughter and I went to one of the stores to shop. So around Christmas, winter period, it was really very cold in the night. So after we finished our shopping, we're now going home. We're rushing ourselves, we're rushing the car with the cart. As halfway to our car, Daddy, we didn't check out this machining stick was on the top bar of the car. Daddy, we didn't check it out. But we did self-checkout. Oh my God. Oh. And then she said, because we're halfway to the car, cold night, winter. And she just said, oh, never mind, they won't know. And she said that, and the alarm bell went off in my head. And I said, yes, they won't know, but God knows. And I turned the cart back. We went back inside to the self-checkout and checked out just that item. And then we came out before when I went to the car. It was a teaching moment when she said that they won't know because she was not able to go back in that cold. As she said that, I said, no. I said, God knows. And we went back and checked it out before we now went home. So examples, what they see, how we live our lives become very important to them growing up. Anywhere they go, anywhere they are, once they may want to do something, once they remember you, how my father think, or my mom say, all those things that have been said. That's why parents must keep talking, keep advising. It is those things in their quiet moments, when they are alone, when they are with friends, that will keep vibrating in their head and will always put them in that straight path of this thing. So very important.
That's very powerful and practical as well, because I think sometimes we like you said, we are like sponges. We absorb everything, even the things we don't think we are absorbing or we do not know that we are absorbing. How the impact of disrespect has on their destinies as parents.
The blessing that Jacob pronounced on the children, everyone came to pass. Praise God. That means the curses that were Jacob and blessing and curses all came to pass. That means your parents, your blessing is in their mouth. And also when they curse you, it will prevail. And that's why God wants us to choose blessing, choose curse. So I would advise every kid out there, choose the blessing by respecting your parents. Don't disrespect them. Don't talk back at them. Pastor have said it. We can discuss. There are better ways to present it in your own view. We look at it. And don't make those unnecessary rejections and all those things. It's disrespect. I want to encourage every one of them. Please avoid those things. And I pray God will help every one of them. In Jesus' name.
Amen. So, for my next question, we've all been talking about how it's like the parents' job to protect the kids and shelter them. I want to ask, what are some of the sacrifices you have to make as parents for your kids, but don't or can't let your kids know they are the reason for the sacrifice?
I think, like Dickiness said, even though nowadays, and what she said was such an eye-opener for me, letting children know some of these things. There's many times, I mean, it's a whole lot. Even from little, like I said, okay, personally, before I had kids, I used to love to watch Law and Order, and Law and Order is, there's nothing wrong with it. Many parents have had this experience when their children will come to us and come to you and ask you, Daddy, are we rich? Or Daddy, are we poor? And so, but you don't want your children to ever feel, as parents, we don't want our children to ever feel deprived, ever feel that they're not able to have stuff because their parents don't have. So many times we make these sacrifices, we forgo, good times or good things for ourselves so that they can have what they need, so that they can be at the level that they're supposed to be at, that whatever stage of life that they are in, and have what they need to succeed at that level. These are like some of the sacrifices that you have to make. Give your time, give up sleep, sit down. I haven't done math in how many years now. I'm sitting down here doing algebra, doing calculus. But what if I there's always this thing fair in my mind. If we do this now and they go to school and the answer is all right, that means my child is going to think that I don't know it. There's always things like that. There's so many ways that you sacrifice. It takes all of you, really, as a parent. It's your whole soul. You cannot be parenting part-time. It's a full-time job with overtime. And I think that in itself is sacrifice already. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good. Is there anything else anyone else wants to add to that?
Yeah, being a parent, you are like a sacrificial lamb. Yeah, that is that is everything. Everything you do is just to sacrifice for the kids. You want their better. You want them to become a better person tomorrow. So you tend to provide for them. You do all kinds of things to make sure the family is very stable. You get what I'm saying? Yeah, and you go over and over. Let me use that word. Yeah, you go over and over. You make sure they're okay. You don't want them to make the same mistakes you've made. You get what I'm saying? Okay, even if I went to school, I took all the loans, these kids must go through college without any loans. You get what I'm saying? You want to make their future ready-made. Let me use that word. You get what I'm saying? You want to make sure they don't struggle. You want to make sure they are financially okay, psychologically okay, emotionally okay, spiritually okay. So you are just like a sacrificial lamb spare. That is the truth. Yeah, you sacrifice everything, your time for that, everything for that.
Yeah. So in light of all this, knowing that our parents sacrifice for us and wants the best for us, when it comes to things, taking life decisions, for example, the school to go to, the career to choose and everything, most at times, most children clash with their parents. And most parents are like, we've done all these sacrifices, maybe so you can go on the best path. And then the child comes and is like, maybe I'll be a footballer or something. I mean, how would you wish children will approach this? And then also, what is also the perspective from the parents' side? Because most of the times, it's like you do all these sacrifices already at age 25. Parents feel as though they are throwing all these away. And then the child also feels like, it's my life, it's my choice. So how best would you want your child to approach this? And what's also the perspective from the parents' point of view?
Well, let me say that I suffer from that what you just said. He says that as a teen, my final year in fourth year, because high school is 5 years in Nigeria. So when then in my fourth year, going forward to the fifth year, I also choose my final courses. When I just choose the final courses that will determine what you read in college. And I went home to ask my dad what I was good in the sciences. Physics on my list course, and I was good in it, but not when you compare all my courses. Physics was the list where I had, but the others I was good. Even the arts, literature, English, and all the other things. So my dad looked at all the courses. You leave physics. Don't choose physics. Choose literature. And he wanted me to read medicine. And for you to read medicine in Nigeria, must have maths, English, chemistry, biology, physics, all the sciences. I dropped physics, chose literature, right? For somebody who's science oriented, only for me to learn after I wrote jam that without physics, can't read medicine. And so that charted my course in life away from medicine into the course I now later read. You understand? So with that experience, well, thank God it all went well at the end of the day. But with that experience in life, I vowed never to decide for my kids what to do. I always tell my wife, let them decide what they want to do. But let's help them, let's guide them. Like our second son, we saw that early in life, he's very hands-on. He can couple and uncouple. Anything you buy, anything you order online and made to be coupled, he will just take a look. While you are struggling, he will just come and look at you. Mommy, no, it's not that way. Daddy, don't do that. Initially, we'll argue with him. My friend, what do you know? Live here. Or after we struggle. Okay, he goes, come and try this thing. What he said, as he does it, that's it. Outside this boy, I'll be an engineer. As the war went and bought tools, you see our tools, all these driver, I bought them for him to start, so we watch what the kids are good at, and then we encourage them, not deciding what they must do as per future professional stuff. Just give them a guide. Don't you think this will be better for you and all that? So that has been our approach towards what they become in life. We don't force that.
Well, somewhere in the Bible, God was talking about Abraham. He said, I know Abraham. He said he would teach his children about the word of the Lord and his household about the word of the Lord. So for every child in the family comes with a mission. And it's always the responsibility of the father, as a father, to find out what is the mission. Like Pastor said, they saw this and they said this one will be an engineer. But that doesn't mean often to parents, there's always a conflict where I want, like some of us from Africa, you want your child to be a doctor, you want your child to be a lawyer, you want your child to be this thing. It doesn't always work so. So this thing is, I have said this often and on about somebody who wanted to read literature and English, and the person wanted to write tracts and flyers and all those things, But the father said no. The father, being an influential person, I want you to be a doctor. He graduated as a doctor. On the day of the graduation, when it was time for him to make his speech, thank everybody, he told the dad, this is what you wanted. Take it. I'm going to do what I am called to do. And he went back to study English and literature. And that's what the person is doing today. And the person is successful. So at times, parents imitate lifestyle they want their child to be, it's not always so. So always watch out the child. What are those things the child don't struggle in doing? It may be a pointer to, where the child is, where the destiny is. Those things you do without struggling, you do say he can couple this thing without struggle. That's the pointer to where this guy is doing. The things the child have interest in, these are things you look inwardly, prayerfully go about it, find out not what others are doing, not what my friends' children are doing. We live in a competitive environment where you want to compete with people and you believe in any way you can compete. Oh, these people are doing this. My child must do this so that we'll start competition with it. No, you find out what, the mission, what this child, has been ordained to do, and you guide that child to become what God has ordained that child to be, not what, everybody is doing or what you want him to do. And as you do so, you find out that life will be comfortable for you. Life will be comfortable for the child, and the child will not struggle in life to become that which God has ordained the child to be. That's all I have to say.
Say that, wow, what's the importance of keeping communication lines open? Because even for parents that are kind of trying to force their children in a certain way, it's all because they want what's best. Because they begin to look at the economic weight of what you're going to do. Will this, give you a balanced future? That's really as the main reason why, similar to Pastor Nosa's story, I also experienced it with my parents. I was also science inclined, but I wanted to take economics. But my dad believed that because I wanted to be a doctor, I needed to learn a language, and that the language of medicine is Latin or Greek, but there's no Latin, there's no Greek. He said, so I'll do French. So I hated French. I was good at it until they forced me to begin to do it, and I made sure that I didn't give it my maximum. And even though I didn't give it help my best, I still found myself doing well, in it, until we got to our final year in high school, and we were only 2 students taking French. And, people will bully you and make fun of you and everything, Until tomorrow, I'm yet to get the biggest benefits of doing French in high school, But I really wanted to study economics. Until tomorrow, I still feel like I lost out a lot by not getting that knowledge that I wanted to gain. So sometimes, yes, parents want to, because they have noticed something. They have noticed that you have a flair. So they want to push you towards, where you have a flair. But it's all because we have your best interest, So I think we should all learn to balance, watch your kids, know what they want, guide them, but don't force them. And then take everything back to God in prayer. Take everything back to God in prayer. Because sometimes, the Bible says there's a way that seemeth right unto a man, for the end thereof is destruction. Let this way not bring destruction to my child. Either the one that he's choosing or the one that I'm choosing, for him. And then let God lead you. Praise God.
Hallelujah.
Amen.
That's one.
Amen. Okay, so we are in a new age of social media. Before we even get to that, I want to ask, is there a way you would prefer your child to approach you with that situation? Like, Mommy, I know you've invested a lot of money in me doing science, but this is what I want to do. Is there a way you prefer you would prefer them approach you with such a situation?
I would say sooner than later.
No, it's not about, like, it's not about the child knowing this is what I want, showing some level of seriousness that I know what I'm doing, and come out like my wife said, being open, let's discuss, and being able to convince me that this is what I want, and this is what I want it, and this is what I can do. This, even God said we should come, let us reason together. So if you are still reason, like, your own decision is okay, your opinion is this, are you to it? You get what I mean? But we need to discuss. We need to talk. I need to see some level of seriousness to know that this child really know what you're doing. You know where you are going.
Okay. So we are ending very soon. My last question before we give the general advice is, we're in a new age of internet and social media, and knowledge abounds. Because back in the day, you only know what your parents told you and what your teachers told you. But now you don't have control over what we are all learning online. And so most kids have insights and easily accessible knowledge on things like mental health, etc., that were not readily available in the past. This leads many kids to think they know more than their parents, or that their parents are archaic, or that their parents are past school. And their way of doing things are outmoded in terms of maybe their training methods, etc. And parents often interpret this scenario to mean that their kids are behaving as if they know more than them, but they have been in the system longer. How would you explain this dynamic to the youth out there from the parents' point of view or from the parents' perspective? Because they do have access to information, but then you have access to experience. And then we tend to think that like we know more than you. So how would you explain this dynamic from the parents' point of view to any youth out there?
I think that as a parent, one of the responsibilities that we have, especially in this generation, is to keep ourselves abreast of the times. It's true that the children will always know a whole lot more because they have more time to devote to these things. But personally, I try to make myself not sound ancient when it comes to certain topics. Like sometimes, like I'll ask my daughter, "Oh, do you know such and such an influencer?" "Oh, mommy, you know this person too. Oh, what do you think I am? Of course I know too." Why do I take the time to? Because I know that this is what people in their generation are looking at. These are the people who they are listening to. These are the people that they're talking to. So now I can talk to you about, the benefits of this, or, the fact that, this is not in line with, who we are, what we believe, and things like that. Sometimes, just because you have experience, we tend to think that that's all that, but then when they bring to us some of these complexities, we may be lost. If we too don't take our time to study, to learn, to, look into these things as well. So I think that push, not that we're trying to compete with the children, but at least have an idea of where they are coming from. We're not gonna know it all because it's not, us, it's not what we need. Even the things that I'm doing on social media is so different from what they're doing. The way that we use it is so different from how they use it. Our understanding of it, and they're so different. But, let's talk. Still, no matter how, they're still going to see you as, not quite that. Because you're not, they still see you as, old school, so to speak, But let's keep talking. Okay, so I'm old school. Tell me about it. Then let's begin. I think let's make the point about it earlier. Let's begin to, kind of pick their brain. So why do you think this is this? Why do you follow this? Why do you, because these people are influencers. They're influencing your child as well with ideas that may not be in agreement with your beliefs. So you can't say to them, "No, don't believe this. No, don't listen to that." So why do you think that this person is? What do you want? And then from there, you begin to talk about it. Well, so based on what we believe, how do you think that this lines up? Why do you think this is right? Why do you think this might not be so right? And so for me, I would say yes, do your best, stay abreast of the times, don't become an ancient of days, but also let your children express to you why they have or why they think that certain belief systems are a good idea, and then talk about it.
That's insightful.
So, I like my son will address me at times, say, you are ancient of days. Some of us were brought up in old school way, and to me, I still believe the old school is the best way. But like my wife said, keep abreast to what is happening. The world has moved from the technological age era to information age era. Get yourself updated. But one thing I must also advise the kids out there: beware of the information you get. For instance, we heard about somebody, the father of evolution, Charles Darwin. He was a seminarian. One day he picked up a book and read, and that's how he came out with the evolution theory. He said it's no longer created by God, that he originated from ape. Just by that information, that changes his mindset about the origin of creation. So they must be careful of the things they pick out there. There are so many junks out there. And like we said, that's where parents also have to pray with the children. Somebody made a statement last time. He said, when we give our children this phone that we give to them, iPhone, smartphone, and everything, he said, we don't give them the word. We give the word to them. I thought about this thing, and I came back, I was worried in my spirit. And I asked myself, you mean I use my money to buy the word? I mean, I will use my to give my child to the word. But that's the era we're in. And that's why we pray. Now, every parent needs to continue to pray for the children, because there are so many battles they are facing out there. There are so many things going out there. There are so many decisions they need to make out there. There are so many influences here and there. We need to continue to pray for them. I will pray God will help them. They will be greater than us. In Jesus' name.
So, like what Mama talked about, you find that I can't count the number of times our kids have come back with some arguments, information based on what they've seen on social media. One little tool as supposed than nine. And then because we too have also seen or read or body captain are able to say no, see how this thing is. By the help of God, we're able to now be shaping their thinking or what the idea they are trying to bring, that no, this is not right, this is not how it should be, this or God, for these social reasons, many times. So argument will just come and say, I know that I said it's not like that. We now educate them. This is how it should be for this reason. So my words it keep ourselves out there, because if you don't know, how can you advise them? How can you counsel them? How can you talk to them that this is not the way she was? There was this some time ago where this all these courts their stuff, cheers. And I said, or this sake. I said, do you know where sake started from? You know this sake culture, you know where it started from? From the prison. Why? Because the prison don't give their bed to me. So that's like moving around here. That's why they go to hand up. So that's why they had this culture from. So do you see yourself as a prisoner? It's what it's not. It's the boss. It's there. They don't give them those seats. There's no belt. So people are hit their pants falling off. That's a culture that came to the world. That put that coffee. So are you a prisoner? You want to sag your part for what? We're able to steer them in a right direction. That you're saying it's nobody should wear copy on the late. It's not worth it.
And some of these things, once you have it, they stereotype you. Stereotype you. Once they just see you with that thing, you become they decide who you are immediately. And the less action we base on that stereotype they've seen about you, without really taking pains to study or ask your questions furthermore. So be careful. It's not everything that seems right that you must imbibe because of society you live in and to avoid stereotype.
You've spoken a lot. You've given parents and safe steps, and lots of people can benefit from anything you can benefit from. So, to end, I just want us to talk to young people out there with regards to giving their parents grace. Like, talk to us, tell us like how we can just give us an ending remark or advice on giving our parents grace. Yes.
I would say, like I said, your parents are not letting. Your parents are your greatest allies, your greatest supporters. They are the ones that will have your back, even when nobody else does. So anything or any person or any concept that makes you see your parents as the enemy is wrong, and you need to avoid it. Now, I know there are some terrible parents out there. And this is not, a blanket statement by all means. But if you have good parents, you know that you're out of the parents. In fact, most people who take their parents for granted because they know that their parents are good. So your parents are your friends. Talk to them. Talk with them. Let them know what is going on. Explain things, to them. And know that your parents are human. Just as you want them to understand how you feel, you also try to, understand how they feel, because that's what any great relationship is all about. Everybody takes each other's feelings into consideration and we find a common ground. Also know that for us, for example, we are Christians. That's our background. That's what we believe. So whatever you are trying to imbibe that is not in line with what is already ego. And that is why it's important for children to also come to know the Lord for themselves, so that these differences in belief will not be there, because you already know what God says. It's no longer what mommy or daddy said. It's about what God said. And I think, just in a nutshell, this would be so helpful if, children knew God for themselves, children talks to their parents, children, took their parents' feelings and considerations into consideration, and parents did the same. The relationship will be so much easier. May God help all of us.
Amen.
Any other last remark?
Definitely, I would love to say, no matter how far the child has gone, no matter how far you've gone out there, it doesn't matter what you've done or where you've been, your parents are always willing to accept you. Just the story of the prodigal son. They are the very number one person that will accept you back. No matter what you've done, we all learn from our mistakes. We are bound to make mistakes. We are all human beings. Parents, children, we are bound to make mistakes. But your parents, they will always have your back. No matter what you've done, no matter the atrocities you've committed, the parents are there to listen. So trust your parents. Trust them.
Thank you so much for joining us. It's been very insightful and very powerful. And thank you very much for your time. And that's it.